Pual. Okay, let's look at the Pual binyan. Here's our chart, and this is an awful lot like the PL. In fact, the differences are in the vowels. So before we go into details here, let's just take a look and see what we can deduce ourselves, given that we've just done the PL if you did the previous chapter. One obvious thing is the doubling of the second radical. That's the marker of the PL, the Pual, and the hit pile. So we see it everywhere. Okay, the Kof has a Dagesh 40 in it all the way through. The second big thing that stands out to me is the vocal shava for the prefix. Okay, when you see that, you should be thinking PL or Pual. So those are two big things that are similar. And then, well, let's get into it, and we'll see what the differences are. Again, it doesn't divide into two groups like the Nifal does. Like the PL, it's all one group. In the Nifal, we had the perfect and the participle. Is actually, right down here. They both had the nun. The nun did not assimilate, and then all the prefix forms of nun assimilated. So our paradigm divided into two sets. The PL and the Pual, it doesn't do that. Characteristic is doubling of the second radical, just like the PL. It's expressed as a Dagesh forte. It's present in all forms, and the only time it's missing is when this coal mine rule applies, which again is if you have a coal mine letter like a Kof, and the coal mine letter has a vocal shava under it, and because it's your middle radical, your second radical, if it is the middle radical, it should have a Dagesh forte, but sometimes it won't be there, and that's because it's a coal mine letter. And of course, that will show up in the forms where you have the theme vowel reducing. This is all repeat from what I said before. So here, theme vowel is reduced to a shava, vocal shava. So that means the Kof, or the Dagesh forte and the Kof may disappear. Same here. So a ending, u ending, and then in the imperfect, we have our e ending, an u ending, another u ending. So in these forms, your Dagesh forte may disappear. Same as the PL. In the Pual, let's look at the Pual. The first thing I probably want to talk about is the first vowel. The first root vowel is a kibbutz, okay, the U sound. Now the easy way to deal with the vowels is to remember what the names are. So we have Pual and we have PL. PL, okay? So here we have U-A, U-A. PL, if you remember, had E-A. You had an I here. That was the first root vowel for the entire perfect. Went all the way down in the PL, was I, the Hittite. And then Tsere was our theme vowel. Now our theme vowel only showed up in the perfect 3ms. There was a Tsere here. In the other forms, prefix forms, it was everywhere except for where it was reduced with a vocalic ending. But other than that, you had Tsere all over here. In the perfect, it was only here. And then you had a second person switch where it went to a patach. So the way to remember these vowels is just to remember the names, because what all these names are is the verb pa'al, which is a paradigm verb that some people use, in the 3ms form. So PL is just pa'al in the 3ms form, Pual is pa'al in the 3ms form. So you got your vowels embedded right in your name. So the first vowel is U in the Pual, and then the second one is a patach, which is your theme vowel. So the patach here goes all the way through, except where it's reduced because of vocalic endings. Unlike the PL, where you have the theme vowel here and then you go to patach, the theme vowel tsere in the PL and then patach. With the Pual, it carries all the way through, and all the way through here too. See? You got one there and you got one here. You don't have it here because it's reduced, vocalic ending, but you have it here. Okay, so that's your theme vowel. Theme vowel is a, Pual. Okay, patach is your theme vowel. In the imperfect, what do you want to say there? Well, probably the biggest thing here is you've got this vocal shava, right? Marks PL and Pual. Vocal shava, same as PL. Compound shava under aleph in 1CS. But we've seen that. Aleph can't take vocal shava, and so does a compound shava. Okay, probably I'm looking at the next vowel along here. Vowels after the prefix, they're the same as the perfect. Kibbutz plus patach. Okay? See this here? Kibbutz plus patach. Kibbutz plus patach. In the PL, it's not like this. In the PL, we had hirik, tsere, and then over here, if you remember, we had a prefix vowel. Then after that, we had a. Remember, it sounds like the nifal, but it's not. The nifal is I, a. You can go back to the last module and see it if you wish, but maybe what I'll do is get rid of this so as not to confuse things right now. So, in the nifal, the vowels from the perfect are a little different than they are from the prefix forms, because you have a patach as the first root vowel over here, and it was in the imperative. Remember, that was a big marker for the imperative in the PL. In the case of the perfect, you have the same vowels for the perfect and the imperfect. So there's more consistency. More consistency down here because your theme vowel doesn't change in the Pual, it stays the same. In the PL it changes. And more consistency between the perfect and the imperfect. So Pual is really quite simple. It's quite regular. Okay, same as the perfect. The vowels the same as the perfect. Imperative. Well, I already talked about this. There's no imperative in the Pual, and there's none in the Hofal either because they're passive. The Nifal has it because the Nifal can also be reflexive or reciprocal. No imperatives. Okay, the participle. Remember I said from PL onwards, PL, Pual, Hitpal, Hifil, Hofal, all those have meme as the marker for the participle. Regardless of whether it's active or passive, you'll see a meme there. So that's also true here for the Pual. Now, one thing you'll notice here is that you have comets here. Over here you have a patach. The U is the same, but you have comets versus patach. Where have we seen that before? Do you remember? We saw that with the nifal. Now in the nifal, that was the only difference between the perfect 3ms and the participle, because you had your nun here and you had your nun here. Both of them had a nun, and the vowels were the same. The only difference was you had patach versus comets. Now in the Pual, you also have the memes, so that distinguishes. So it's not that. This is not that critical, but in fact it is there, and it marks the passive participle. Your comets. So meme marks the participle for Pual, just like PL. And I think I probably wanted to talk about the comets. Yes. So the vowels are similar to the imperfect and the perfect, for that matter. And the Pual are all the same, but theme vowel is comets, and I already talked about that. This is true also for the nifal, the Pual, and the hofal. And in the nifal, it's the only difference. Here, in the Pual, the meme also distinguishes the participle from the perfect. Infinitive construct and infinitive absolute. Well, we have the U, which we expect because we got Pual, right? Pual. And in this case, we have a holum here as well as here. And they're the same. Both have holum, both have kibbutz, and both have holum. Now, the interesting thing here is that there is, in fact, only one of each attested in the Hebrew Bible for strong or weak verbs. So if you go to Psalm 132, verse 1, you find the only Pual infinitive construct, unoto, and it happens to have a suffix on the end. It means his afflictions. And the only infinitive absolute is in Genesis 40, verse 15, and it's Jacob speaking, and he says, gunov, this kind of squished together, but that's a nun, and then a vav. Gunov means was stolen. So there's only one each of these in the Bible, so not that critical. Okay, identical forms. Well, up here, the jussive and the imperfect are the same. We do not have a reduced jussive. In the strong verbs, as I said before, it's only in the hifil we'll have a reduced jussive, so the jussive will be different there in the hifil. And Definite construct and definite absolute I just mentioned are both the same. So those are our identical forms. I don't think I have any similar forms, no. So that is the morphology of the Pual.